Hey, what's up everybody, it's your boy Proftrof. We are back again with another video by count Dankula. This is absolute mad lads. GG Allin. GG Allin. GG Allin. I don't know who this dude is, okay. So let's see how mad of a lad he is. Considering we watched Chopper yesterday, he's gonna have a rough
and punk
competition.
Probably caused one of the biggest cultural shifts that society has ever seen. It preached a message of being anti-establishment, non-conformist, and most importantly, being free to express yourself in any way that you saw fit. Rock and punk was, by design, the ultimate form of self-expression. And there was one man who didn't just take this to the extreme, he took it as far as he could possibly go. So far that simply mentioning his name is enough to get your video age restricted.
Really?
I've been looking forward to this one.
The most violent man in rock and roll. Some of what you're about to hear may not be suitable for children. As usual, his performance was fraught with the onstage violence that had become his trademark. Parental discretion is strongly advised.
GG Allin. GG Allin, whose birth name was Jesus Christ Allin, no, I'm not joking, was born on the 29th of August 1956, and he was the youngest of two sons. He was given the name Jesus Christ because his father claimed that Jesus Christ had visited him and told him that his son would be a great man in the same vein as the Messiah. Technically he was, just not in the way his father expected.
Not like the Messiah,
His family
brother.
lived in Groveton, New Hampshire, and they lived in a log cabin that had no running water or electricity, and they actually lived quite primitively. His father was an
Sounds fucking
abusive
awful.
Christian fanatic who would very often abuse his wife and sons, and he would also
Oi, how dare you abuse Jesus Christ, you pathetic piece of shit.
threaten them with death. He had actually dug graves for each of them in the basement of the cabin and told them that if they ever stepped out of line, he would put them in the graves. The abuse was so bad that Allin Sr. would control every single aspect of his family's lives, not allow them to interact with other people, and he would also prevent his sons from having fun because pleasure is a sin. Gigi always believed that
I'm pretty sure killing your family members is also a sin. But I missed that in the Christian books.
mother and his brothers would all meet their end at the hands of their father in a murder-suicide. Gigi said that they lived more like prisoners than a family, and one day Gigi's
It's
mother
so
actually
sad,
tried to escape, but the father in response kidnapped Gigi and threatened to kill him if she didn't come back. Gigi said that he was actually very happy with his upbringing because it made him a warrior soul at an early age. The reason he got the name Gigi is because his brother couldn't actually pronounce the name Jesus and would say JJ instead, which ended up becoming Gigi. Eventually his mother managed to successfully escape with the kids and file for divorce, and they all moved to Vermont. Gigi and his brothers were then raised by their mother and stepfather. When Gigi was first sent to school, his mother had his name legally changed to Kevin Michael Allin so that he wouldn't be bullied, but he did keep the nickname Gigi. Gigi's family were still quite poor, so Gigi was placed into special education classes where he was very often bullied because he didn't conform with everybody else. He started attending school dressed like a girl. He said that this was inspired by the band New York Dolls. He also started breaking into cars, houses, and selling drugs. This was the first time in Gigi's life where he had any kind of freedom to do whatever he wanted. And
So
that's
he did
exactly what he
everything.
did. Gigi then became very interested in music and started playing in bands as a drummer along with his older brother who played bass. They formed their own band called Little Sisters Date, and they covered songs by bands like Aerosmith and Kiss. He started writing music himself, and he was influenced by bands like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones and the Dave Clark Five, but Gigi said that his biggest influences were Alice Cooper, the Ramones, and the Stooges. Good taste, really. After graduating high school, Gigi formed another band with his brother called Malpractice, and he also played in other bands called The Jabbers and Strip Search, but him being in these bands didn't last very long because Gigi was uncontrollable and a little bit violent. From the early to mid 1980s, Gigi Allin became very involved in the underground hardcore scene, and he fronted many acts and albums with bands such as the Cedar Street Sluts, the Scumfucks, and the Texas Nazis. It was around this time that Gigi became heavily addicted to heroin and alcohol and would take any intoxicants that were placed in front of him, no matter what they were. He went completely insane on stage while he was playing a gig with the Cedar Street Sluts in Manchester, New Hampshire, which earned him the nickname the Madman of Manchester. This performance started a trend of insane live performances that Gigi would end up becoming known for. Gigi Allin is not known so much for his music. His music is described as mediocre at best. No, what he was known for was his batshit insane live performances, which he tried everything he could to make even more extreme. And so, during a live performance in 1985 in Peoria, Illinois, Gigi Allin did something for the very first time that would end up becoming a standard part of all of his live shows and would actually become one of the most notorious.
Fuck, I hate when this shit happens, when you feel like you're gonna... No,
Notorious things about his live performances.
Sucks ass.
Gigi Allin, while he was singing, dropped his trousers and shit in the fucking stage.
Oh, that...
Gigi actually planned to do...
That was a little different than what I was expecting, but still, he took a shit. Interesting.
This, and so before the show started, Gigi drank laxatives. The only problem was he drank them too early, so he was trying his hardest hours before the show to hold it in because he wanted to save his shit for the stage.
Makes sense.
As soon as he did it, the smell was so bad that all of the fans started running out of the door, and the owners of the venue were absolutely fucking furious. Gigi Allin took this even further in future performances by not only rubbing the shit on his face, but throwing it all over the fucking fans. And Gigi just continued these shows, and they were only getting more and more extreme as time went on.
Yo, who's going to these shitty shows?
Gigi would even start smashing himself in the head with the microphone until he was bleeding heavily, and he would just continue on with the show, despite the fact that he was bleeding all over the stage and the fans. Another thing he was famous for doing was fighting fans. He would just pick people at random in the crowd and just start beating the shit out of them in the hope...
Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you, I would not want to fight a man covered in shit and blood. That seems like a very shitty situation.
That they would fight him back. A lot of Gigi's shows would involve him barely even singing, because he was far too busy beating the shit out of people. In some cases, Gigi would even perform completely naked and grab random fans and shove their face into his penis. And this became his staple. This became what he was known for. When people say Gigi Allin, not many people think of his music. People think of his insane live performances, where he would beat himself over the head until he bled. He would throw his shit all over his fans and then beat them up. All done while naked. These live performances would very often result in the show being shut down halfway through the second song and the venue owners calling the police. Every single show would end with either Gigi Allin being arrested by the police and charged with assault, destruction of property, indecent exposure, or a combination of any of those, or the band having to drive Gigi Allin to hospital, where he would spend the next few days or weeks recovering from broken bones and physical trauma that he inflicted on himself during the show. In relation to his live performances, Gigi Allin has stated that he has been arrested a total of 52 times. Jesus. One thing that Gigi Allin always promised is that he would take his live performances to the fullest extent that they could go, and it would all culminate into one big grand finale. And that grand finale that Gigi Allin promised he would do, with no warning, he would kill himself on stage, and his fans and his bandmates fully believed that he would do it.
I mean, I believe
G.G.
that he will do
Allin's
it.
insane live performances did get him noticed an awful lot, but one of the main things that turned a lot of people onto his music and his message was a 1987 cassette-only release of all of G.G. Allin's performances and songs that he had done with these various bands. This release was called Hated in the Nation. The cassette was distributed widely within and out with the underground hardcore scene. This not only gave G.G. a lot more respect and admiration within the subculture, but it attracted new people to the subculture itself. G.G. Allin also collaborated with other bands and performers. For example, he collaborated with Psycho on their album titled Freaks, Faggots, Drunks and Junkies. He also collaborated with another band called the AIDS Brigade on their EP that was titled Expose Yourself to Kids. I'm just going to read out some of the lyrics from that song. Let's fuck some kids. They can't say no. Molest them now before they grow. Threaten them with oral sex. Expose yourself to incest. 'Cause it's alright to expose yourself to kids. Do it now before they grow up and it's too late. Find an elementary school at recess time. Pull your pecker in front of them. And masturbate.
Yeah.
You all know that I am all for freedom of expression, but god damn, there are things out there that fucking test you. Despite his attitude and extreme lyrics, G.G. Allin was actually a massive country fan, and he actually idolised country music star Hank Williams. G.G. even actually released a country album himself. G.G. was also very well known for doing a lot of spoken word, and you can find a lot of his spoken word pieces on his albums.
I think I'm good.
Allin was also very well known for his fascination with serial killers. He actually wrote to and visited in prison the notorious serial killer John Wayne Gacy. There was a documentary made about G.G. Allin called Hated, G.G. Allin and the Murder Junkies, and the artwork for it was painted by John Wayne Gacy. In 1989, G.G. Allin was arrested and charged with assault.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did better in his serial killer career than in his artist career.
Was painted by John Wayne Gacy. In 1989, G.G. Allin was arrested and charged with assault with intent to do great bodily harm against a female friend of his. During the trial, a psychological evaluation deemed that G.G. Allin was not psychotic and that he did truly enjoy his unorthodox lifestyle.
Are they sure? Are they sure about that?
Female friend of his. During the trial, a psychological evaluation deemed that G.G. Allin was not psychotic and that he did truly enjoy his unorthodox lifestyle, but it did say that he had mixed personality disorder with narcissistic and masochistic tendencies. G.G. denied any wrongdoing and said...
Okay, I just want y'all to think about something. What if his dad was right? What if Jesus back in the day was just like this? Think about that.
That the woman had been a willing participant in a sex game where he cut her, burned her, and drank her blood, and that she did the exact same things to him. G.G. accepted a plea bargain and was sent to prison for 1 year and 3 months. While he was in prison, he wrote the G.G. Allin Manifesto, where he detailed that he was going to lead an army against society, conformity, and rock and roll itself. When he was released from prison, he skipped parole so that he could go on tour. This is the tour that was filmed for the Hated documentary. This documentary is where most of the insane footage of G.G. Allin is sourced from. It contains all the classics like shitting on the stage, beating up fans, and also throwing beer bottles into the crowd. One of these beer bottles actually broke a woman's nose. It was during this time that G.G. released the album Murder Junkies, and he said that it was the greatest album that he had ever created because it truly reflected who he was as a person and represented what he was really about. But some of the best footage that we have of G.G. Allin is from his TV talk show appearances, where he just does and says whatever the hell he wants to an absolutely traumatized normie audience.
I might grab a girl and force her to...
Okay. Listen. You cannot actually call people normies comparatively to this guy. That does not work. Everyone's a normie compared to this guy. Everybody. I don't give a fuck how weird, crazy you are. You're normal compared to this guy, okay?
Whatever the hell he wants to an absolutely traumatized normie audience.
I might grab a girl and force her to perform oral sex with me. I've had sex on stage with men, women, and animals, and everything in between.
Gigi feels that parents
Everything
shelter
in
their
between.
children too much, and as a result of this, they grow up never knowing how to handle tragedy. And the only way that they can learn how to handle tragedy is to place it in front of them. One might find it quite horrible though. You know, just sort of drag someone on stage and shove your dick in their face. But Gigi does have a very good explanation for this.
Oh no.
Because they don't know how to handle tragedy because they're never put in front of a tragic situation. And when they come to my show, I'm going to give them the hard lesson of life. If you get raped at my show, you're probably better off for it.
It's very difficult logic to argue against, I know. But his arguments only get better from there.
If a girl gets raped when she's 10, she may not get raped and killed when she's 15 because she'll be conditioned for that situation.
How are you conditioned? I'm not even gonna try.
He's literally a feminist's worst nightmare.
I tell you, how many Christians are in this audience? How many people go to church on Sunday? You're the biggest hypocrites that I ever seen. Because you go to church on Sunday and you kneel...
You cannot clap for the guy that 2 minutes ago said that it's better if you get raped at 10. Because you might get raped at 15. Okay, do not clap. Whoever clapped, please get a dick shot in your mouth. Forcibly.
At an altar and you worship a false god, the real god's up here. And let me tell you one thing.
The interview in which Gigi Allin explained most of what he is actually about was actually his last ever interview on the Jane Whitney show in 1993.
Jane Whitney.
I'm bringing us to a revolution against the government, against the police, against any form
Cute
of
outfit.
society that is trying to put us down and restrict us in any way, shape, or manner. You cannot conform.
This was the biggest statement that reflected what Gigi Allin was really all about. Freedom. He was an extreme individualist, he was massively anti-authoritarian, and he hated rules. And the only thing that he hated more than that was people trying to restrict freedom of expression. He was an advocate for absolute freedom, possibly verging into anarchy, and he always made sure that he got this message across, while at the same time making sure he trolled the absolute shit out of the audience.
How many of you can, at 35 years old, sleep with 16, 12, 13-year-old girls and boys and animals? Hey, this is the life. I got it all. And I got your kids.
And I got your kids.
There are lengths
Hey,
that I will...
I'm a little surprised no one killed him before his suicide. I'm gonna be honest
too.
with you. If
And
he's
also to
suicide, I don't
upset
know what the
people.
fuck happened to this dude.
That's not one of them. There is evidence that Gigi did start dating a girl when she was 17, but there's no evidence of him sleeping with anyone younger than that, and his
Okay.
bandmates have all confirmed that Gigi would just say things like that to normies to
Makes
upset them and
sense.
troll them. And that could actually be true, because Shirley does actually call him out on some of the claims he's made.
You mentioned this rape thing. If you were really a rapist, I mean, you'd be in jail for a lot longer
How
than
do you
3
know?
years.
How do you know?
Just a guess.
I get girls that give me what I want.
Then why is that rape? They're consenting to
They're
give you
consenting,
sex.
but
He does close off the interview with a very prominent message.
and I have a very strong mind, and I can get anything that I want. And most people go through life very bland and very boring, and they accept what's given to them. They accept what people teach them and what people tell them. I have said no over and over again to authority. Authority cannot tell me what to do. The schools cannot tell me what to do, because from day one, I never listened to them. I taught myself. I'm strong. I'm very strong.
I absolutely agree with that message. Individuals themselves should get to define who they are. And these interviews are all on
True, I
YouTube,
guess.
and please go watch them.
Ah.
Please go watch them. They are hilarious shit shows. But in his interview with Shirley, Gigi said something that turned out to be a little bit of foreshadowing.
I don't want to die a boring death like all of you people will probably do. I'm going to live to the maximum capacity,
All right.
and when I reach my capacity, go down and play.
4 days after this interview, on the 27th of June 1993,
4 days.
Gigi Allin played a gig at a small punk club in New York called the Gas Station. And halfway through the second song, because of his antics, the owners shut down the show and kicked them all out. business as usual for Gigi. As a result, Gigi and his fans destroyed the venue, and Gigi started walking down the streets of New York, naked and covered in his own blood and shit, with his army of fans all marching behind him, in an almost symbolic image. And they all
Hey,
went
he's
back
not
to
naked.
an apartment
Why are
to
you
party
lying,
all
bro?
night. Unfortunately, the next day, Gigi Allin was found motionless on the floor. Paramedics were called,
Overdose?
and they pronounced him dead at the scene. It turns out that while everyone was partying, Gigi Allin had died of a heroin overdose during the night. And no one noticed. Gigi Allin's funeral took place on the 3rd of July 1993 in his native New Hampshire, and at the request of his brother, his body was dressed in his trademark leather jacket and jockstrap. His brother also requested that Gigi's body be unpreserved, unwashed, no makeup applied, and open casket, so that his bloated, smelly corpse could be on display for everyone to see and smell. They placed a microphone next to his mouth, blasted his songs through speakers, and partied around his dead body. Gigi Allin
that's
was
pretty
buried
good
with a
funeral, I'll be
bottle of
honest.
Jim Beam next to him in his casket. As a result of his legacy, hardcore Gigi Allin fans would do a pilgrimage to Gigi Allin's grave so that they could vomit, piss, and shit all over it in tribute to Gigi Allin. This was actually even featured in one of the CKY movies. And to be completely fair, it probably is what Gigi Allin would have wanted, but his mother asked people to stop doing it because it's not very nice going to visit the grave of your dead son only to realise that hundreds of people have shit all over it. The problem actually got so bad that Gigi Allin's headstone has now been permanently removed. Gigi Allin's cult following is still around today among his hardcore fans, who you're going to find in the comment section.
Really?
They are not going to be happy that I made this video. He did leave behind a legacy of non-conformity, unrestricted freedom of expression, and most importantly of all, anti-authoritarianism. Those are points that I definitely agree with. I don't agree with all of his points, and most likely not the methods he used either, but I definitely agree with his overall message of freedom. I mean, when it comes to being an anti-authoritarian, Gigi Allin makes me look like a fucking pussy.
It's Count Dankula on YouTube. Everybody should subscribe.
Wow. I might be a little bit too normy for this video. Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, we saw Jesus Christ over there, right? Anyway, I'm quite curious to see what y'all are gonna say about this. Anyway, this is the absolute mad lads Gigi Allin. Let me know what y'all think. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time, buddy. Have a nice fucking day.